All right, so welcome everybody to Food for Thought today with Long Beach Fresh. Again, my name is Serena, and this event is hosted by Compound. And Compound is a new art and culture creative complex in Long Beach, where I also am. And we focus on the intersection of art, wellness, and social justice. For now, we're doing a lot of virtual programs online, and you can check out the rest on our calendar. But for today, I'm so happy to see so many faces here, see familiar faces, some new faces. I'm just going to go over some Zoom etiquette before I turn it over to Ryan from Long Beach Fresh. So if everyone could keep their microphone muted when you are not speaking, just so we don't get any feedback. If you have a question, feel free to put it in the chat. There's a little talk button at the bottom of the screen that you can use to talk with everyone, to talk with a specific guest, if you'd like to reach out to someone. And also, if you'd like to turn on your camera, it just helps us figure out who's in the room and make it feel more like a real environment. But if you'd like to keep it off, we totally respect that as well. No pressure. And if you have a question, you unmute yourself. It does take a second for the audio to adjust. So you might want to say like, hello, I have a question, so we don't accidentally miss you. And if there's anything else, please feel free to chat me during the session. And I will turn it over to Ryan from Long Beach Fresh to get us started. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Compound, for working with Long Beach Fresh to create this monthly space, Food for Thought, where we can talk about, share, and explore and learn from some of the things happening across the food system in Long Beach. Today, we're talking about urban agriculture as recovery. And that word recovery, I mean, it was a loaded word before COVID, and now it's even more so such a word that gets tossed around a lot, but I looked it up and it means really to mend and to heal. And I think that when I'm doing my calls and as Long Beach Fresh, we're a connector of a lot of the good actors in the local food system. It just amazes me the stories that I hear about of local food mending and healing people and healing the land and the ecosystem, and just wanted to take this hour and celebrate that work at several different scales in the community being done by different people. And I hope that when people hear about what these folks are doing, that they think about people they know in Long Beach who might want to support that work or get involved or could benefit from what's being done, because I feel like a lot of the really good stuff in our community sometimes is under the radar, or you have to hear about it from a friend, and so we are that web of people who can really connect out good things happening. So really excited to have this platform from Dakota and Serena, the Compound. Can't wait to go there in person soon. And in the meantime, to connect on here with some great guests today. We have with us Gillian, who's the gardening Girl Scout, who's doing a really awesome food recovery project and has been involved in the local food system since she was pretty young. And so really an interesting all-star on the rise. And Lee White, who's just had such a cool story in her personal transformation with health, with urban ag and local food, and educating other people and bringing so many people with her and helping develop a really important site, food site for many people to learn and enjoy in. And Joe Corso, he's basically the mega garden manager of the city, running about a dozen gardens across town, and hundreds, if not thousands of families benefiting and participating in that amazing program that's restoring how people can eat and build community in their neighborhood, and even protecting our oceans. And Demitrius Ziegler with Long Beach Farms, who's really creatively restoring how we farm in a dense urban environment by a method of decentralized farming and using a lot of different sort of small spaces to aggregate his community agriculture box. So I don't want to ruin any of their stories, but with too many details, but we'll get into each of these a little bit. Each of these folks will talk with you. And then at the end, we'll have time for questions and more sharing and talking about who's in the room. But let's go ahead and start with, I think, Gillian, the gardening Girl Scout. If you could give us what you've been doing and how people can get involved.
Yeah, so my name is Jillian. I'm in 11th grade. I go to Valley Christian High School, and I've lived in North Long Beach for most of my life, and I've been a part of the Victory Garden in the 9th District, and I've also been a Girl Scout ever since I've been in kindergarten. So I've always had an eye, and my mom helps me with that also, but I've always had an eye for civic engagement and just community service. And so when COVID happened, we were all helping out with the food distributions, and I was so excited to see that people were getting food that they needed, because this is not a new need. COVID kind of just it just opened up the wound for everyone to see, but I was just happy to see that more people were getting involved in this. But at the same time, I was getting involved more and more interested in looking deeper into sustainable living practices. So I was learning about our food system, and I was learning about healthy eating habits. So seeing the brokenness of our food system, which I'm sure some other people are going to talk about today, but seeing the brokenness of that, but then also seeing the people who are directly impacted by that brokenness. And so the people who need healthy food and who need food most, they're getting food, but I was noticing that in these distribution boxes, it was mostly pasta, canned goods, and dry things, which is great, but it also, it's good for the soul to get fresh fruits and vegetables too. And so even in those non-perishable, in those perishable boxes, it was like cheese and eggs. And I thought it would be great for people to be able to have some fresh fruit, some fresh vegetables, especially since in our backyard, we have several fruit trees, and year after year, it just falls to the ground. And I put it in compost, so it's great, it's going back, but it's not the best situation, since I go outside and down the street and I see people who are possibly going hungry. And I look around, and all my neighbors, they have all these trees, and they're like, yeah, we don't really eat it, or we don't like this fruit. And it's really sad. So I thought it would be a great opportunity to connect those two things together. So what I've been doing, I made it kind of part of my Gold Award project, which is like the Eagle Scout for Girl Scouts. But I've been collecting produce from people's backyards, and it's kind of small now because we were kind of just starting out. Yeah, so here are some photos of some of the stuff I've collected, and this is just some of it. And it's small, and people hear about it one by one, and they give what they can, but people give so much. And so even the smallest donation, in someone's eyes, they're like, I'm just this one person, but people bring so much food, and it goes to a good place. And people are getting food, and they're getting fresh produce, because people are like, I have this lemon, what can I, somebody might not be able to use this, but the people getting it, like, it really lifts them up. So we give it out in the food distributions, and since we don't have enough at the time to do our own distributions, we've been giving it to like the YMCA and Titchener's Children's Hospital, which is in Signal Hill. So yeah, it's really exciting. And something else that's great about it is I get to see a lot of different types of fruits and vegetables. So I try to kumquat for the first time, very interesting. Seeing my friend who goes to my school, she saw my post about it, and she brought these gigantic grapefruit, and it's really interesting, and it's been a lot of fun. And so I really enjoy it, and I hope to continue growing it. Yeah, I've started a sustainable living club at my school, all this stuff. It really is just interesting to me, and it's been a lot of fun to explore. And I also get to help people, so it's been great.
That's awesome. And can you tell us how you got started too?
Uh, in
My understanding is, didn't you get started with a compost project at the North Long Beach Victory Garden, like when you were a little shorter?
Yeah, yeah. So a couple of years ago, I was helping out over there for kind of my Silver Award project. So the last like huge project I did was there helping them build compost bins. So I got totally interested in all that stuff and the gardening and the composting. And that kind of helped me get interested into the sustainable living aspect. And then that kind of grew. And sustainability, everyone says it has 3 parts. So it's environmental, social, and economic. So this is kind of the social part where it's people don't have a place to get their food from. And they don't have a place to get healthy food, which is like extremely important, especially now being healthy, having a strong immune system. We see it protects you from things. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. But oh, and then also my mom, so she does the distributions too. So we were getting the boxes and we were seeing what was in there and what was not in there. So yeah.
Fabulous. And Mom, did you want to add anything, Juanita?
Yes, thank you so very much. We appreciate Compound and Food for Thought for giving us this opportunity to be a part of this discussion and just sharing our this project, this idea, and how we're contributing to the Long Beach community and just those that are in need right now. So again, we just thank you guys very much for allowing us this platform and to share and learn more about our other fellow harvesters or gatherers or growers that are in the community and how we're playing a part into this situation that we're in right now. So again, thank you very much.
And are you guys currently looking for more growers or trees or distributions to be a part of?
Yes, Gillian, you want to answer that?
Yeah, so every Saturday I'm at the District 9, Long Beach District 9 field office, the old fire station on that side of town, and I'm just collecting food. And that's what we really are looking for at the moment. The more food we get, the bigger we can get, so that we're not just donating to these places, but we can actually host our own distribution events. So it's kind of like me partnering with my mom, and they bring the dry goods, but we also have more perishable goods that will be going out to people. So they'll have fresh fruits, vegetables, and things like that. So if you want to sign up on my link tree, I think someone put it in the chat. My link tree is Jill for Gold, and you can just sign up with the form there. And I'm getting my group because I started a club at my school. So we're going to be going around, and if you can't make it on Saturdays, we're opening it up so that we can go to your house and harvest your produce for you. And yeah, that's a way to really help us out. Just donate your produce, donations. We take monetary donations as well, I think, but just anything helps. Even a share on your social media. I really enjoy doing this. So really whatever anyone wants to give, I'll take. So thank you guys so much.
And were you guys part of the recent distribution at Go to Zero Farm on Santa Fe?
Mom, I think my mom would
Yeah,
know.
we're part of the collaborative with Long Beach Center for Economic Inclusion. So we provide the goods to the food pantries, and we're also, and then like my contribution of that is I'm the president of the Collins Neighborhood Association here in North Long Beach, and we do distributions as well.
Amazing. Well, I'm so excited to learn about you guys and help any way we can to connect the cool stuff you're doing.
Thank
so
you.
We're going to hear now from Lee. Is your audio working all good? And I know you had a little bit of laptop trouble, but it looks like you're looking good. Can we hear you too? I think you're muted. All right, well, we'll ask, maybe your daughter can help you with that, getting unmuted, but I think it's good to see you. And so let's go over to Demitrius with Long Beach Farms, and you can kind of tell us about what you've been doing and your journey as a urban planner to urban farmer. And you're muted too, Demetrius. You guys are well behaved here with the muting.
Okay, Lee, you're unmuted now.
Do you want Lee to go ahead and shall I wait?
Oh, okay. Yeah, actually, that's great. Oh, thank you. Oh, hey, Lee, can we hear you?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, all right. You sound great.
Oh, good.
So
I thought
thanks for
my
joining us.
touch screen and my daughter's is not, so I kept trying to touch it and it wasn't doing anything. Hi, everybody.
So we're sharing the stories of urban agriculture as recovery, and you had talked with me about, some of the personal history in your family with health and how you've come to this and brought many people along with in the revitalization at the D9 and your work as a parent educator, etc.
Okay. Well, I was at the class that the North Long Beach Victory Garden has for residents. Just anyone can come and take the class. It's part of the University of California Grow LA Victory Garden initiative. And the whole purpose of that is in 4-day sessions, the people are able to learn how to grow their own food and various aspects of that, from composting, learning about soil, the seeding and growing, planting, and it's been an amazing journey. I took that class. It was the second offered at the garden. So that was 2017, early 2017. And I was so excited about it because I had been intimidated by gardening. I knew how to grow flowers and I grew other plants and native gardens, but I had not grown food. But that gave me an opportunity to do so. And I thought, you know what? I'm learning so much here. I want to volunteer because I knew that was a good chance to learn more. And so not only I, but several people in that particular class ended up volunteering on a regular basis. And so much so that I was invited to be a farm manager assistant. And that includes helping plan activities, hosting activities, and whatnot. And the thing is, I just got further and further into it because the more I volunteered, the more I learned, and the more I realized I knew. If you had asked me, I would have said, oh no, you go ask so-and-so, they know more. But then I started being able to answer the questions, and that was just so exciting. When the Master Gardener invitation came out, I thought, you know what? I need to do this. And one of the main reasons I chose to become a UC Master Gardener is because when I was 10 years old, I'll never forget it. My mom got a call that my dad had had a stroke, and it was a very serious stroke. 4 years later, he passed of that stroke. And by that time, I was in middle school. And my gym teacher said, if you can do like certain exercises every day, touch your toes and do certain things and eat well, then you're going to have a pretty great life. And I thought, oh, great. And so from that time on, I made it my mission to actually deliberately exercise all the time, get involved with things. And so it wasn't um, a journey then to garden, but I did get more involved in activities. And once I took the Master Gardener program, I actually started teaching, which is part of it. Teaching gardening has been one of those things because with my dad's experience and then all the years after that, so many people, I learned so much more about heart disease and how a lot of it can be prevented, or you can just heal certain things through through eating well. And so now I have grandchildren who are 16 months and also 8 years old, and I'm teaching them. Another thing I do is, this is outside of my home. I grow food in the community garden. Okay, so let me backtrack a little bit. COVID came along and I was busy. I had several engagements to teach school gardenings and to build school gardens and to get involved in school gardening activities. And that was how I got started. But the North Long Beach Victory Garden has an annual festival where we do tomatoes and whatnot. And so what happened is, at that point where we were supposed to be getting our vegetables, we didn't get them, but we did get them from another place. And so here it is, it's like, okay, what are we going to do with all of this food? So we lined up all of the food, and that became a big community giveaway. We always had one, but this was even bigger. It was amazing how many people showed up to get their plants. And that also gave an opportunity for people who hadn't been to the farm to come and learn about the plants, how to transplant them, how to read the labels on the plants. Because one of the things that makes gardening so seemingly inaccessible to some is that they don't know what to do. They don't know how to get started. But I'm here to tell you, start where you enjoy the most. So I had personally gone into my front yard. My husband's from the Midwest, and he's like, no, we're not going to grow anything but grass. And I'm like, we're in California. We're not growing grass, we're growing weeds. And so little by little, I started taking things out of the regular yard, next to the house, and started putting in herbs. So I started with rosemary being one of them, and mint. And when my husband saw me going out there every night clipping stuff for the night's meals, he was like, wow. When he started clipping for himself, that's when the hook was there. And so I was able to actually start growing food everywhere in the yard. And that's what I do. I grow food in the yard. I prepare different things that I've never prepared before. And those are the things that excite people about not just seeing the food, but using the food, all aspects of the food. So another thing that you might know that I'm interested in and involved with is composting with the Long Beach Community Compost. So that's another biggie. But if there's anything I can say to encourage people to garden, it's just get started. Aspect of the UC Master Gardener program is to teach people how to grow in containers, because so many people are they're not in a home. They don't have property, or they don't have a lot of space. This is a picture of me at the crop swap in North Long Beach Victory Garden. It's the North Long Beach crop swap. And you'll see that everyone's social distance. I've led classes with social distancing, teaching people how to grow. And my favorite topic is from seed. So I grow, and then I let the food go to flower, and then use it next time. Because I'm not formally retired, but I'm partially there. And so our budget is not that big, and being able to capture the seeds from my own garden and being able to get in the community and get and trade food, all are really huge things for my family and I, because we can do a whole lot with that. This picture here is the North Long Beach Victory Garden, and that's where we started. We started off with that plot right there, where is our seasonal garden. And we were like, okay, this is good but we need more. We need more. We need to show not just rows, but how people can grow in small spaces. And so these pictures show the different ways we teach people how to garden. We have container gardens. We have food growing on every fence. Yeah, every fence, all kinds of food, fruits, vegetables. And so we invite people to come and get an idea of what they can do so that they can create a healthy lifestyle for their families. Um, Brian, I don't know if you knew, but one of the things I started since the COVID lockdown is we're able to keep people volunteering to take care of the garden. And one of the things I started was a garden fit class where we actually, I like the challenge of it because I'm able to have people do things in exercise that we do in gardening to help with strengthening the muscles as well as just the flexibility that you need in gardening. But also we have raised gardens. So, you know, there's so many things that you can do at our garden. It's just incredible. And I am really happy to have been engaged with this garden.
Yeah, I think these are pictures show you've turned it into a, what do you call it, farm fit?
Yes, yes. So those are things, you know, we're jumping, we're stretching, we're lifting, we're doing push-ups, and yeah, those are all tools that we use. And I can get pretty creative. Ask my daughters when they needed to be disciplined. Uh, yeah, I can come up with some pretty cool stuff to do.
We can rent the space out to a gym.
Yes,
They're
yes.
all outside during COVID.
Well, we needed to because I'm so used to being in public and I'm so used to doing my own workouts with the water exercises and dance classes, all kinds of stuff. And so I really miss those things. And for me, with my family history, I've lost so many family members and friends due to heart disease and other ailments like diabetes. And that's the same experience as a lot of our families on the west side where I live in Wrigley, but I teach on the west side in the schools over there. And so my experience is the same as a lot of theirs. And the one thing I want to prevent is children as young as I was losing their parents when there are options. So through exercise, through a change in lifestyle, whatever I can do to help foster and encourage that, that's what I'm going to do. And it's just naturally fun for me. So I'm out there quite a bit. And I miss everybody. I miss being out there, but the garden gives me a place of serenity because there is a lot of stress in my life, which until recently I didn't realize that stress could be a major factor of heart disease. So, you know, so besides eating well and whatnot, exercise is really key, and reducing or avoiding any stress that you can. So that's my story. Another thing that I'm doing is um, I lost a dear friend who also took the class with me, that first class, um, and Sakara Thomas, and she actually did a program with Queens of Historical Society to teach people about our heritage kings and queens of Africa. And so one of the things that I did and is going to continue to do is create garden spaces where I can teach people how to grow and what to grow from the African culture.
Awesome. Well, I love your story, and we've known you a long time and really seen this evolutionary process you've been through and how many people you've inspired along the way, and you're a real glue. So we really appreciate all that you're doing. And with that, I want to introduce you guys to Demitrius Ziegler, who we've probably known just as long, and has been, trying to figure out amazing ways to grow local food and share it with the community. So Demetrius, tell us your story.
Hey, Ryan, thanks. And thanks to Serena and Compound for having me and us. It's nice to network with so many like-minded individuals in our city here. And as Ryan said, I run a small business here in town called Long Beach Farms. We essentially are you could say the city mouse, and with our country mice friends and cousins, we formed a cooperative. So we have essentially now a farmers cooperative whereby Long Beach Farms grows a little bit of food, and then we rely pretty heavily on our cooperative farmers to produce the bulk of eggs, potato, onion, and then all the seasonal green vegetables. So that, I'd love to talk individually more or in another forum about Long Beach Farms, but I was really excited to talk about what got me into farming and why I initially started a CSA, a community supported agriculture program. So I wanted to talk about CSAs today, a little bit about the history and kind of where we're at, maybe get some consensus on the definitions so that we can ride into the future together. But basically the CSA, as I mentioned, it's shorthand for community supported agriculture. And this is a concept that's actually not that old. It starts kind of simultaneously in Japan with the Teikei movement. And Teikei literally means putting the farmer's face on food. I think of Sasha when I think of that, but the Teikei movement comes out of the 60s. And simultaneously in Switzerland and Germany, you have a lot of interest in the dynamic biologique movement, right? That's essentially the organic movement as we call it now. You have even in Chile at the same time, under the Allende government, some programs there that are mirroring the Swiss programs in terms of community supported agriculture. But in fact, my research tells me that this may or may not be a surprise to you, but the CSA concept actually is rooted in Black American culture, Black American history, particularly through the work of one gentleman called Booker T. Watley. And Booker T. Watley happens to predate these other concepts that are happening simultaneously in Europe and Japan and Chile. Born in 1915, Booker T. Watley's the oldest of 12. And at that time, as he's growing up, he's watching as all these Black farms are either atrophying or declining or just dying. And in that concept, he goes on to study agriculture at Alabama A&M. He later takes a doctorate from Tuskegee, where he follows in the footsteps of folks like Dr. George Washington Carver. And he creates this concept, what he calls the clientele membership club. And if I could just read something to you real quick. And these are his words. Dr. Watley says, the clientele membership club is the lifeblood of the farm. It enables the farmer to plan production, to anticipate demand, and of course, have a guaranteed market. The farmer has to seek out people, city folks mostly, to be members of the club. The annual membership fee, and this was in the 70s and 80s, the annual membership fee, $25 per household, gives each of those families the privilege of coming to the farm and harvesting produce at approximately 60% of the supermarket price. So one of these 25-acre farms, Dr. Watley says, should be able to support 1,000 member families or around 5,000 people. The farm should be located within about 40 miles of some metropolitan center, and that's pretty much a prerequisite for setting up one of these farms. And those are, again, Dr. Watley's words about his initiative, his movement, and how he believes that he can slowly raise the tide of the local family farms in his region in Alabama at that time. And he goes on to teach this concept and preach it pretty widely. So it grows in tandem with the CSA movement that really flourishes in the East Coast in 1982. So I hope I'm not boring you guys, but I think this is good stuff, because the things that we're talking about, we are essentially the third wave of this discussion. So we're continuing this discussion started by, these people in the 60s and 70s. So by 1982 to mid 80s in the Northeast, Vermont, Maine, where there's a lot of agriculture, seasonal agriculture, not year round like here, but they really cement that CSA concept. And those are the models that I studied about 10 years ago when I decided that I would get into farming. The economy had gone, down the toilet. I couldn't get any work in my field of urban planning and community development. And so a college buddy called me up. He said, "Hey man, we've been talking about that organic farm for a long time. You don't have anything going on. Why don't you move up here and we'll start this farm?" And I did that it must have been about 10 years ago. I started that farm in outside of Portland, Oregon, and it was called Circle of Friends Farm. And within Circle of Friends Farm, my partner Troy and I, both Black men, we met at university back east. So in some ways, we were a novel concept in the Portland area. 2 Black farmers doing the CSA thing, becoming more visible around town. And so that was great for Portland, and it was good for us. But like I said, I studied these earlier models, and then if you're interested, the books that I relied on most heavily, because I had a stack of books and a little bit of experience growing, and I asked a lot of questions. So I put myself in various farmers markets in the area, selling our produce directly to the public. And in that context, I would just ask as many questions as I could of the other farmers, just so I could learn. But the books I relied on, one is by Steve Solomon. It's called Growing Vegetables West of the Cascades. And for me, this book was very valuable. The other is called The Organic Gardener's Handbook of Natural Pest and Disease Control. And these 2 books, I had some other resource materials, but anytime I had a question about spacing or season or what's going to happen next or the hybridization, I would go to those books. So that being said, we had a great start up there in Portland with Circle of Friends Farms. And I'll try to bring up a few photos. I couldn't get the photo trove, but just a couple to put you there. Let me see if I can share my screen, Ryan. I'm trying, Ryan. Hold on.
Is it a permission issue or?
No, it's just user error.
Human error?
Yeah, I won't take too much of your time, but I do want to see if I can do it. All right, I won't waste too much of the time, but essentially can you still hear me, Ryan?
Mm-hmm.
And group?
We hear you.
Okay. In that first year, we grew from a ½ acre to 2 acres. And I bring that up because it was a small start for us. But in just a ½ acre, you can grow food for 50 families in a week. For real, 50 families in a week on a ½ acre. By the time we expanded to 2 acres, we had about 75 families that would come each week, or we would deliver each week within the city, produce boxes, CSA shares. And it's important to note that this concept that we were implementing up in Oregon, it was called what we call a single source or a sole source CSA. Kind of fancy word to say that everything that we put in the box, we grew on our farm. So it was highly seasonal. And up there with the shorter growing window, the program would last from about mid-May through October each year. And that was a concept that it worked well. So we grew from ½ acre to 2 acres and then opened up some more land to 5 acres. And when we say open up land, that means weeks of just intense labor, clearing land and tilling the soil and trying to put some nutrition into it to grow food. So by the time we achieved 5 acres, we were serving probably 150 to 200 CSA subscribers a week, and we were doing some deliveries to the local restaurants, much in the same that folks do now, that Sasha does, that we do. But I am bringing up this early CSA because it's more of a fundamental model. And this, if I may, again, get to a definition, this fundamental model, according to the USDA, they say that community-supported agriculture consists of a community of individuals who pledge support to a farm operation so that the farmland becomes, either legally or spiritually, the community's farm, with the growers and consumers providing mutual support and sharing the risks and benefits of food production. So this traditional model says that members, they share the risks and the benefits of the food production with the farmers. So when we're growing up seasonally up in Oregon, if a crop fails, then the crop has failed, and we are sharing in the financial risk of that with the members. Typically in this more traditional CSA model, the members would buy a share of the farm's production before the growing season. So that investment comes from the community into the farmer at the beginning of the season. And in return, you get a regular distribution. We call them shares throughout the season, typically weekly or bi-weekly. And then the farmer, by getting the money up front, it allows the farmer to buy seed and put some capital into fixing his or her equipment and essentially setting up for a stronger growing season. So that model is the one I just wanted to speak on today, because it's more of a fundamental model. But as you can see from what I do and what other folks are doing around town, we've come to a more hybrid version of that, which I think is great because we're able to serve a broader cross spectrum of people and a wider eating audience. I think I got a couple of those photos, Ryan. Let me see if I can share them now. Can you see that, Ryan? Everybody?
No, we're not seeing it. Yeah, I don't
All
think.
right. Okay. How about now? Nothing? Okay.
Oh, it's starting to share. There you go.
I did it.
You did
All
it.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
in a hat.
All right. Well, let me move forward quickly. By the time you get to 5 acres, you need a greenhouse, right, Sasha? You need something to grow seasonally. You need to be able to extend your season at the front and at the end. So this greenhouse you see with Troy there is, what do we do? 35-foot wide, and it's about 20 feet high and 120 feet long. And through that, we would push all our production out at the beginning of the season and then grow our seeds, in January, February, March to get ready for the season. Our farm, this is the beginning of it, where it started on a ½ acre and grew to 2. Just to the right there is a mountain range. It's a beautiful farm setting up there. If you have a CSA program, you're going to need help. You're going to need volunteer labor. It costs a lot to hire skilled professionals, but you will need a couple skilled professionals. And of course, your volunteers can pull you along. And then as a farmer doing this thing, you have to be able to balance a lot of different responsibilities, because not only are you growing the food for your family and the other 150 families, but you're also managing quality control and assurance. You're doing the customer relations, and you're taking care of your family and that kind of thing. And so those were my experiences. You can see in this photo here in the back is the beginning of our chicken coop. We had at that time about 100 chickens, and then I expanded that coop about 3 times the size to have about 400 laying hens in our flock. And all these things I'm saying is because I envisioned them and I did them. And I think that anybody on this call could do the same thing in terms of creating your vision, and then implementing it.
Wow.
What else
Well,
can I share?
well,
I think that's good.
Yeah, that's a really great place to conclude. We're blasting through this short time together, but it was really cool to see some of that pre-LBC background you have.
Mm.
So we'll go on to our last guest for today, which is the Joe Corso, who's got a million garden tales to tell, but I think he's going to focus on some really cool stuff that the Long Beach Organic has been doing in partnership with the Beach Pantry, and I might probe him on a few other things as well. But Joe, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. I'd really rather just gossip. Is that okay? No, Long Beach Organic, just briefly, we've been around, I haven't been around it that long, but Long Beach Organic has been around 26 years. It was founded by a local environmentalist, Charles Moore, who founded both Long Beach Organic and Algolita Marine Research at the same time, because he was concerned about pollution in Long Beach and in the Alamitos Bay. And what you do on land affects the water, and that was the original impetus for Long Beach Organic, was to take empty lots which tend to collect trash and pollution and trouble, and turn them into gardens, which in turn they absorb carbon, they absorb water, they actually clean up the environment. So we take the worst spot on the block and we turn it into the best. And it's since evolved into a community garden model where at our community gardens, people, usually from the neighborhood, but some do some traveling, they rent a space to grow food for themselves. And the rent is pretty minimal. It's for most people, it's about $100 a year. And it's much greater investment of time to maintain these plots. And there's so many environmental benefits to local food production and growing your own. You're eliminating packaging, you're eliminating transportation, you're eliminating shipping, warehousing, fumigating warehouses full of food. So that's the environmental part of it. But also we're talking about recovery. So many of my gardeners tell me that, oh, I'd die without the garden, or I could never get through COVID without the garden. And none of that's true. They would manage, but the garden provides a very healing environment. Working with your hands is very healing. Growing your own food is very empowering. Personally, I joined as a gardener in 2005. In 2009, my husband and I lost our retail business in the crash. We just went belly up, and it was really devastating. And the garden became a real focus for me because it was working. You plant a seed that grows. I could feel successful at something. It was very healing, and eventually became my career, my new career. So that's the background. We have 8 locations right now. We're working on a 9th, but that's still we're just looking around. They don't last forever, so we're constantly looking for new gardens. At the moment, we have 220 households gardening with us. Not quite thousands, Ryan, but 220 all the same. And so that's hundreds and hundreds of people that I have to kind of remember their names and stuff. But it's really wonderful. Each garden has its own personality. Each garden reflects the neighborhood it's in. And when COVID hit, we couldn't do anything. We couldn't have our work parties. We couldn't have our potlucks. We couldn't do cooking classes. We couldn't do anything. So we found something we could do, which is the food bank at CSULB, the local university. They have a food pantry called the Beach Pantry. And one of our gardeners was regularly bringing stuff from his church and also from his garden plot there. And when COVID hit, that pantry was closed, but they replaced it with a weekly drive-through. And it's a pop-up in the parking lot, and anyone who's a student can make a reservation and drive through on Friday morning and get a bag of food. However, they're not, since the pantry's closed, they didn't have any fresh vegetables to offer. So we stepped in and organized our gardeners donating things on Thursday evening, or Wednesday or Thursday, and then Thursday afternoon we round everything up, gather it out of our biggest garden, we wash it, bag it, and leave it for a driver in the morning who takes it over to the university. It's a way of doing this without refrigeration, and it's a way of getting all of our gardens involved. And then it's grown because I'm allowed to have interns under COVID, which is great. We've long had a standing relationship with the university and their internship program, and they provide student volunteers for us, and in turn they get college credits. So yeah, that's just from a few weeks ago. What we chart is in season. What we so it's a wonderful circle. We have students from the university, and they're helping. We have dedicated beds set aside for this. They're learning to grow vegetables. They're working on these charity beds, we call them, and doing the harvesting, gathering the donations. They do all the washing and bagging, and it goes to their school. They could probably make an appointment and drive through, but I send them home with a few things, so they don't have to. So yeah, that's become a main focus. It's a great fit for us because we're just about the right size for this program. The need, as Gillian was talking about, the need for fresh food in food banks is huge, and it is very difficult to pull off because of the perishability. But this has been a good fit for us because, like I say, the food we provide is just enough for the 200 some students who drive through. They get a little taste of everything, and they get their bag of dry goods, which they would get anyway. But they also get a bag of that's my summer interns. I miss them. They get a bag of vegetables to take home as well. So
That's awesome. And Joe, can you tell them a little bit about how each of the gardens is designed with certain elements so that it's a social space that grows community as well as food?
yeah, each of the gardens, even the tiny ones, because we have some, our smallest one is about 50 feet by 50 feet, but we still have 20 members. Each of the gardens has a picnic table under an arbor. That just seems essential. A place to sit down and rest, and back when we could share food, and hopefully soon, have potlucks. So we have a gathering place. Each of the gardens has at least a token fruit tree, or in the case of our largest ones, quite a nice orchard, but they're shared fruit trees. Each of our gardens has some area devoted to herbs that can be shared, so that every gardener won't have to grow all the herbs they use. And as Lee was saying, when you start harvesting your own herbs, you're not only proud to be a gardener, but you become a much better cook. And so the herbs are kind of a revelation to people. Each of our gardens, they have a real cross section of the community. And I always say some people never meet their neighbors till they join a community garden, because, as Californians, we tend to keep to ourselves. I don't know. And all of us have a tendency to stick with our own language, our own age group, our own ethnicity. But in the gardens, it's a complete cross section. So people are meeting others that maybe they wouldn't get to know otherwise, and bonding over this shared activity. And so I've seen real friendships form. Lasting friendships. I myself, I'd say about half my social circle since I joined in 2005 is through Long Beach Organic. I should also mention we do have a really cool pizza oven at our largest garden. It's the only one big enough to do that in, and that's been many a fundraiser, many a party has been around that oven. So, growing food is one thing, sharing it is something else, whether sharing it formally like your crop swap, or, we do a lot of just trading among the gardeners, but also sharing a meal, When we open a new garden, when we have our first potluck, there's usually a pizza and, you know, some maybe some Del Taco, whatever people are into, they bring, because there's nothing growing yet. Within a year, they're trying new dishes, and it's stuff from their garden and salads they've made that they never used to make salads. So you see a real transformation there too. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. They're making me hungry.
Every conversation I have everywhere turns to food at some point. It's just
Well,
nothing I can do about it.
I want to check in with our hosts, Serena and Dakota, because it's at the top of the hour, bottom of the hour here.
You can please continue.
Oh, okay.
If you need to go, we are sad to see you leave. But if you'd like to stay, yes, please continue.
Okay, great. You don't need the room or anything. All right, well, great. Well, I mean, this was really fantastic. I really enjoyed hearing more from Gillian because, you know, she's someone who I saw pop up on my Facebook feed. And now to hear it right from, you know, from her, what she's doing, it gives me so much more clarity. And also, Joe, so you'd think the work that you're doing, people would appreciate a lot, but I feel like we all owe you a massage gift certificate because you endure so much pain bringing these vacant lots into community garden spaces and really having a massage over a lot of neighbors and welcome them to this concept and idea. And hearing from Lee is always just like a massage itself. And Demetrius, thank you so much for all that extra information and research that you did. I didn't know you had all that background stuff in your back pocket, so I really appreciate that. And want to open it up to, you know, all of the cool people on the call. I see a lot of friends, if you want to shout something out. And also there's someone new who called me this week, Vanny Murphy, who I think moved here during COVID and was super involved in the Michigan food scene and a lot of very interesting local economic projects and you know, the sort of community sport agriculture projects. So this was an automatic space to tell her to come and really see what's happening, because like we know it's kind of hard to access community and things at this time. So welcome, Vanny, and excited to have you here. So we'll just open it up.
I wanted to ask Mr. Daz, or Demetrius, I think your name is, right? So what do you guys do with the CSA? I learned about that when like I said, when learning about the sustainability and local and the importance of that. So, I mean, I expect that you guys have been doing great since COVID. And I mean, how does that work? And what do you guys put in the boxes? I wanted to learn more about that. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's true that we had been doing a slow business for a few years because Long Beach Farms is as much a labor of love as it is a small local business. But you're right, by February, March last year, we took a tenfold increase in our weekly subscribers. And it was difficult, but like everybody else, we managed. So each week we'll put in usually a few herbs and small things from Long Beach Farms. Farmer Chewy will send down, that's Jesus, Farmer Chewy will send down the oranges and potato and onion and egg. And then Farmer Fabricio or Irvin will send down the cruciferous vegetables or some of the other herbs to backstop us. And then we have relationships with a few of the big growers that will populate the local farmers market. So for example, our friend Farmer Deb will help us with all the peaches and stone fruit, and Farmer Phil will give us all the kiwi and grapes. So in that way, these relationships that I've been making in the past 5-6 years as farmers market manager, local grower guy, my big thing is to just promote the farmers and to help the farmers get the price they need to sustain their business, And then on the flip side, I'm trying to raise the level of discourse in our community in terms of how we talk about food, what we do with it, who gets to participate. You know, same as a lot of you folks. So last week, for example, in last week's box, it was way too much as usual. We had, for the large box, they had gooseberries, blackberry, kiwi. They had a few pears. There was Romanesco last week, beans, potato, yam, onion, garlic. So it's a pretty, eggs per order. That's what we do. And then, like I say, Long Beach Farms, since I've been having trouble keeping and maintaining a sizable amount of land in town, we just grow small things on small plots. So our contribution is that, and then to be the, like I said, the local city guy to help organize the cooperative's efforts.
Cool, thank you. When I looked at who was going to be speaking, I was like, oh my goodness, this is so cool. Like, that's awesome. Thank you.
Well, that's what we thought about you.
Ah, thank you, thank you.
And I see
I'm curious, Miss Vonnie, what's going on in Michigan that we're missing out on, or that you can update us on?
Well, hi, my name is Vonnie. I actually moved here 3 years ago from Michigan, but I went to the University of Michigan for my public health degree in dietetics, and my brain is just like pinging because there's so many like mirroring projects that I was part of or volunteered with. And I think one advantage in Ann Arbor, it is a much smaller town, and I'm noticing Long Beach has like a lot of spread. And I do have questions about transportation to a lot of the resources that you guys provide. But yeah, what's going on in Michigan? They have a lot of community supported food projects. I think one that really has taken off is Argus Farm Stop. So it's like a year-round farmers market. And they actually cite a lot of the research that you, Daz, had mentioned in terms of how much farms are struggling. I think there's some like data about 50% of new farms end up failing. So having like that community support is really important. And you do that, I think, through building the pride in community. And they did a really good job with that. Oh yeah, that's their page. So yeah, there was a lot of really exciting things going on when I was at school there, and it's been a few years, but the project, I'm sorry, the sun is like punking me right now. Whoops. Can you guys still hear me?
Yep.
Okay. But yeah, and actually when Lee was talking about what she does with opening community gardens and like teaching like local schools, I really love that. There's actually a community garden that opened up right on the hospital grounds in St. Joe's right outside of Ann Arbor, close to the Detroit area. And they use that as a space to, like there's a treatment center in the hospital that specializes in frontal lobe injuries. So people like, especially like car crashes was a major one. They would go to the garden to get some like hands-on like physical therapy. And it was really, it was like, you can't read that page without crying. Like it's really, and it grew from there. Like it ended up being more like hands-on, but then they realized they could have all the space in this garden, and a farmer came in and started like growing quite a bit, and enough to supply like the hospital, and like and enough to and large enough for the people at the hospital to come out to the garden and get hands-on like therapy, like just stress relief, etc. So yeah, I'm sorry if I'm jumping all over the place. I wasn't prepared to talk about it, but yeah, there's just a lot of exciting things going on in the space. And when I came here 3 years ago, as a dietitian, I got a job with an eating disorder clinic. So that's primarily what I worked on full-time for 3 years. I recently took a break from that. So now we have space to get involved with the community, I hope.
And did you say you're a medical health practitioner as well?
No, I'm a dietitian. Yeah.
Awesome. Welcome. And you're interested in getting involved and helping out with some of these projects. So it's so exciting that you got such a master orientation to so many things.
Yeah, this was really perfect timing. Thank you guys.
I wanted to invite Rebecca, if you're there, if you want to talk about some of the work you're doing. You kind of, in some ways, mirror Lee's story and getting involved at the North Long Beach Victory Garden, and that now you're building gardens for many people.
Yeah, that essentially was my introduction to community. A community that has a passion for gardening was, you know, I had just had my little backyard garden. I was an empty nester and needed something to kind of find myself with, after raising kids, and started my own garden, and was really discouraged when I couldn't find anything within my own community. I live in Paramount, which is just north of Long Beach, that we didn't have any sort of community gardens or garden group, etc. So the closest thing to me was the North Long Beach Crop Swap, and I just fell into it 150%. The people are great. I mean, it was I every month it was just something that it was like a party that I looked forward to attending every month. There was just so many people that had that were on the same level as I was as a new gardener, as well as master gardeners, and you could get all of your answers, your questions answered on a monthly basis, and just swap the best of the best when it came to food. And then since then I've just continued to build gardens. I've built 2 school gardens. I've built a community garden in my community. It was basically a private garden that we had 13 boxes, so 13 families could grow their own food. And Paramount is very, very much like some of the areas in Long Beach where 20% of our residents are on the poverty level, so they're really hurting for where they're going to find their next meal. And so just the what we were able to provide to our families was not just a place to garden, but a community that supported them and understood where they were coming from. And so we consequently had to close the garden. COVID was part of that. But still trying to do what we can to help our community. I find that gardening is kind of like a gateway drug for understanding your environment and the impact that each individual person has on the environment. The kids just really grab on to being able to get their hands dirty, literally learning about, the microorganisms and the ecosystems, and what they're doing, how they're consuming food, and their impact again to the environment. So yeah, so that's basically my story. I just recently was accepted into the Master Gardeners program, so I start that next month, and it's a 12-week program. So I'm really excited about that, and we'll see where that takes me. Oh, but the biggest thing is I'm the gardening coordinator for Long Beach Community Table, and we're also an organization that provides food boxes weekly to the food insecure of the Long Beach community and surrounding areas. So essentially what my role is we have 6 private homes that have designated space in their homes for us to grow food that go, when harvested, go into these food boxes that go out to the community. So that's keeping us really busy. As a matter of fact, we have a garden build tomorrow that we're creating some new spaces and planting out some of our spring, summer plants.
And so that's really cool. So just to reiterate that Long Beach Community Table, and you're as community director for them, you're building gardens in people's backyards for the sole purpose of that food distributions on Saturday at Long Beach parks.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, we don't provide 100% of the fresh food. But like Des said, it's really difficult to find space here in this area. And so, we had basically some donors that were willing to designate spaces in their backyard, side yards for us to grow food. And so we have a team of volunteers at every garden that maintain that garden's productivity, from building, planting, harvesting, and just, customer service and customer relations when it comes to the homeowners. So it's a really good program.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
And then Sasha at Farm Lot 59 is here. And do you want to say anything? I know you have a volunteer opportunity maybe coming up, or.
Hi there, this is not Sasha. My name is Carissa. I actually work here on the farm with Sasha. She's somewhere. Not sure where she's at right now, but I can grab her if you want her to. I'm sure she can explain everything a lot better. But tomorrow we do have volunteer day starting at 8 a.m. for anyone that wants to come. We have a few projects that we need to get done. So yeah, we have that going on tomorrow. Yeah, I can go grab Sasha if you want to hear from her a little bit more about the farm and specifically what we're working on right now.
Yeah, if you want to go grab her, or if you have any information, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, we're currently working on a Valentine's Day little meal kit that we have going on. We're also getting all of our beds prepped for produce. We have if you could see behind me, we got our salad bed going on. We currently turning over some of these beds to get them ready. We do donate to different charity groups in Long Beach, depending on what we have available for the week. But we do that every week as well. And we also grow flowers. You could see our hoop house in the background. So yeah, if any of you can come down tomorrow, that'd be great to connect and meet some of you in person. But let me see where Sasha's at. Let me grab her so she can kind of chime in at the end. So 1 second.
Sure. In the meantime, I see there's a question about San Diego. If there's something in San Diego similar, is that have you heard of the San Diego Food Alliance? They're kind of like the Long Beach Fresh of San Diego, and Ellie Brown is their director. That might be a good place to start.
How was it? It's good that we're asking. Yeah, it might be. I told him I was gonna look.
What's the name? Ellie Fresh?
Hello. Hey, Sasha.
How's it going?
Good. We just wanted if you wanted to give any updates. We were pitching the volunteer day tomorrow, but anything at the farm that folks maybe want to hear about.
Yeah, I mean, second Saturday volunteer day starts again tomorrow, and it's 8 to 11. You met Carissa. She's gone through this season. She volunteered with us last year and brought her on as staff. So that's exciting. We did a Valentine's at home meal kit with our resident chef, Eugene. And so we're here packing our meal kit boxes for pickup tomorrow. We're gonna start doing more pop-up stuff once it gets a little warmer, and meal kits and some stuff in the stand, hopefully. And we're doing Farm Lot Gives is our program that we started from COVID. And so 100% of our produce goes to the food pantry on 14th Street, and also to the residents at the Elizabeth and Sutton House. And we're trying to build a kitchen here so we can do more meals, because the food pantry on 14th Street is great for people who can go home and cook. And we deliver, right now it's only once a week, but hopefully twice a week when we get back up into production. And we did salad. We did 25 pounds of, washed bagged salad this week, and citrus and radishes and all kinds of stuff. So we're doing that. And if we could just do a little kitchen here, it would just make, because we spend money to rent kitchen space. And so we might as well just, build a kitchen. So that's kind of what we're fundraising for now. And then we have a flower subscription starting in March. So we do weekly flower deliveries to your house, either bouquets or gift bouquets or buckets. And our flower program is where we get to shine. I mean, vegetables are great, but flowers are cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. It's such a treat to be out in the field with you.
I know. Thanks for doing this. We love the compound, and we just wanted to pop in. It's hard. Everyone's like busy but not busy, but we're here, we're farming all the time. And Fridays they're doing the community composting here now too, up at the top by the stand. So Mark and Kirk are here on Fridays, and now he's doing orchard care for us too, and mulching. And so yeah, we just can't wait till everyone can come back and have events and workshops and classes again, and would love to share our space for any time you guys want to get together. When we can get together, of course, our space is your space.
Awesome. It sounds like so many good things happening. Can't wait to get back out there.
I know, 10 years we've been here, so we're just farming on, and hopefully this year we'll be able to add some more programming. We grew our board over the last couple years, and we have electricity now, so ideally we'd be able to have some movies in the summer. And we have an event TBD July 17th weekend. Hopefully we'll be able to have one of our roast events that we love to have so much, with music and all that kind of stuff. So don't forget about us down here in the Gulch. We're still here.
Awesome.
Yeah, but it was great. It was great for Krista to hear everybody's stories and meet the folks and hear some of the history. And I was listening, I was just kind of bouncing around, but I love that you mentioned all the, the innovators and Uncle Charlie, and just to hear what everybody's doing is great. I miss everyone for sure.
Big time. We miss you too.
Well, thanks for hosting, and if you need anything from us, just let us know.
All right. And so I think we're going to continue these monthly gatherings with the compound. And if there's burning stories you guys want to explore, or people you want to meet, let's go ahead and generate that space next month. And we'll continue this awesome dialogue and check-in point for all of these cool things that are happening and are kind of tied together, but could sometimes these pieces just are not, they don't know each other as much as they could, and other people need to know about them too. So excited to echo out and reverberate some of this cool stuff that's going on.
Awesome, thank you.
So Dakota and Serena, what do we do now? Do we beam us up?
Well, yeah, it's just so exciting that I'm like, oh, does anyone else want to share? I don't want to accidentally cut off anyone who wants to tell me all the exciting things they're doing as well. But yes, welcome to everybody new to Long Beach and everyone new to gardening. If there's anyone out there who is also not a pro at gardening like myself, don't feel shy. We're all here to learn, or at least that's what I tell myself. So thank you everyone for being here today. This will continue next month, so look out for our next Food for Thought event. If you want to get involved, please feel free to shoot me an email. There's also a survey that comes out after each one of our events. So I noticed a lot of people filled it rolled out last time. So if you're interested in connecting more with the food community in Long Beach or in other places too, thank you so much for sharing the resources to San Diego. So we're able to welcome Stina and also connect Stina to communities near her. Although virtually, we're so happy that you get to be here in this way. So thank you guys. I'll stay here for a second in case anyone has any questions. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you to all of our guests today. It was just such a joy to have everyone here. So thank you all.